Hello again, everyone. Lar from Complete Test Success here. So today we are looking at IELTS Speaking Part 3. So what I'm going to do is get a few people to come and join me here live, and I will ask those people some Part 3 questions. And then I'll give feedback based on, the types of things the examiners would be looking for. Of course, most importantly, giving feedback on what would be the main things the person needs to work on and how to improve. So for the people who join me live, obviously getting direct feedback on their mistakes and learning how to improve their scores. And then for everybody else, it's to see how I'm analyzing the speaking, the way the examiner analyzes, what kind of feedback, what way the examiner would be thinking about the speaking. And of course, then if you have questions, you can ask me and I'm more than happy to answer. So any questions you have, you can just ask in the comments. So what I'm going to do here is I have a link. I have a link here. If you want to join me live, you just click on that link. Here it is. So go to the comments. You'll see there, link to join me live. You'll see it on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you are. And of course, come join me live. Hi, XIX. Good to see you again. Yeah, there's no real problem how many people participate, but thank you. Thank you, XIX. Hi, Mohammed. Welcome to the lesson. Hey, Lewis. Good to see you here again. Can you take my speaking test? Absolutely, yeah. So just click on that link, Mohammed, and I'll get you in here with me. Yep, besides that, like I said, if anyone has questions, go ahead and just ask in the comments and I'll be able to answer those for you. Just in case some of you are new to the channel, I've been an IELTS examiner and I've been teaching IELTS since 2010. So you're in good hands. I have a lot of experience with the test and I've helped hundreds and hundreds of students get their scores, possibly even thousands at this stage. So, yep, you're in safe hands. So if you have any questions, you want to join me live, if you need any help, let me know. While we're waiting for people to join, I do have other free lessons that I have on Zoom. So they're my other group classes on Zoom. There's a link in the video description. It's called Free Live Feedback Lessons. There's the link there. Click on that, sign up, and you'll see the schedule of when the lessons are, what the topics are, and then the Zoom link that you need to join. As well as that, I have one-on-one courses and feedback. So that's my email address there. You can reach out to me. And if you need one-on-one support, that's available as well. Lewis, is it a good idea to watch interviews to see how native speakers answer questions? No, to be honest. Well, you can learn something from it. You can learn something from it. I think what you will learn by watching native speakers is that you will learn here's the thing. A lot of students, a lot of candidates, when they're speaking their second language, they're focusing on, trying to impress, trying to have, intelligent answers, trying to sound knowledgeable, but none of that's important. Whereas when you hear a native speaker, they have the confidence to just say whatever they're thinking without trying to make it sound special or make themselves look good. So I think that style of like having a native speaker will kind of show you more like, you can approach the test without making it more complicated. But the other side of it is just, have the confidence to say what you would say to your friends or your family members if you were asked the same question. It's not a job interview. You're not trying to impress the person. You don't need to be super respectful. You don't need to sound knowledgeable. You're not trying to get hired at the end of it. You're just talking. So if you were just talking to a friend, you wouldn't be worried about the outcome as much as just chatting. So I think from that perspective, it's good to see that. And then I think like watching practice speaking tests is a little bit helpful to see the format of the test. It's helpful to see like the feedback and the way the examiner is assessing the speaking. But ultimately, if your fluency isn't good, it's not going to get better by watching videos. If your vocab, grammar, or pronunciation, if you have problems in those areas, you need to go and study them. So there is a certain amount you can take from watching those, but in the end, you need to find out your problems and you need to fix them. So yes and no, there are benefits, but it's not going to fix all your problems. Can I write AI in the essay instead of artificial intelligence? Yeah, definitely. That's a commonly used abbreviation. Hey, Stephen, good to see you here. Hi, Stan. Okay, so we have a few people here, and Mohammed is first. So let's get you in here, Mohammed. Hi, Mohammed.
Yes, how are you?
Good. Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm feeling good.
Good. Can you tell me what score do you need in the IELTS speaking test, Mohammed?
Uh, I I think I want to score a 7, band 7 or 7.5, not more.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 questions, and then I'll have some feedback for you. Okay?
Go on, go ahead.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions about jobs and working. What are the advantages of working indoors instead of outdoors?
Yeah, if I speak to this question, I think working in a indoor you can have a better quality every amenities are available because summer times when there is a sun is scorching. So if you work outside, you will be quiet. So I think in indoor you have many facilities like AC, AC. I think fans, and you cannot feel the so hot. So I think so. Working in an indoor is better than outdoor.
Um, why do some people prefer to work outdoors?
I think some people who have not any job uh, inside, or he has not get a job inside, so mainly used to prefer to work outside because they do not have, maybe according to their education level also, because when educated people mainly have a job inside, they find a job in a company or anywhere inside, but outside mainly labor used to work. So labor class of people are usually work in outside, but I think it's not better to work in a outdoor. People must to work in a indoors.
Okay, thanks, Mohammed. Right. So at the moment, I have to listen very, very carefully to follow what you're saying. So
Yeah,
the main thing for you is definitely you need to work on your pronunciation. So you seem quite comfortable speaking in English. You don't take a long time to think of your vocab or to think of your ideas. So you can communicate and you are comfortable, which is going to help with your fluency. But until you improve your pronunciation, I can't be sure if the content is appropriate or if the vocab or the grammar is accurate. Now, the main problem is that you don't pronounce the final sound of words. So, like in the word band, you don't pronounce the D sound. The word like, you don't pronounce the K sound. The word think, you don't pronounce the K sound. So, it seems to be when the word ends with an N, a D, or a K sound that you're not pronouncing it. But it's that combined with you speak very quickly, where you don't pause at the appropriate points in the sentences. So that's what we call, hang on a second, chunking. So chunking is where you pause at the appropriate parts of each sentence. So you need to pause at the appropriate places, whereas at the moment you don't pause. You just go straight through with no pauses. So chunking, you need to work on that. You need to slow down and you need to pronounce the final sound of every word. And with those 3 things, it'll take time to improve, but when you can do those 3 things, it will become clearer and it will be easier to follow you. And then if you have mistakes in other areas like, vocab or grammar, it will be easier to find those mistakes and then you can fix them. So work on pronunciation now is definitely your priority. Do you
Okay.
have any questions for me about that, Mohammed?
No, I think how in speaking part, can we use high level vocabulary or use a simple vocabulary that my
You
band will affect or not?
Yeah, so what you want to use, what you think is simple vocabulary, right? So, someone who's a
Yes.
lower level than you, they would use the vocab they think is simple. Your level, you use the vocab you think is simple. Someone who's higher than you, they use the vocab they think is simple. But obviously, those are a different range. So you shouldn't be using words that you think are difficult. If your range of vocab isn't good enough, you need to go and study vocab, spend 6 months studying vocab, and then you will have more vocab that you think is simple. But when you're speaking, always use the vocab that you're confident will communicate clearly. If you're trying to use more complicated vocab, you're just going to make mistakes and confuse the listener, confuse the examiner. So that's not going to help.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
You're very welcome, and nice to meet you, Mohammed. Take care of yourself. Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay. So I have another few people here, Marvis, Jihad, and Stephen. But I'll need you guys to turn on your cameras to join me. Stephen, your camera's on already, so give me a moment. I'll get you in here. And I just want to look at the other students. Jamshid. Yeah, you're very welcome. Good to have you here. It's unlucky for me that I always need to work when you're hosting a live class, especially the speaking session. Yeah, you'll have to get yourself into a locker room or something, Stan. Jamshid, please, I want to join. Yeah, absolutely. Just click on the link there, Jamshid, and you'll be able to join. Lewis, I struggle to expand my ideas after giving a direct answer in part one. I'm not sure if they're relevant enough. So when you're developing your idea, very often the easiest thing you can do is like try and tell a story related to the topic. Try and discuss the situation that you've experienced. If you're talking about bicycles, talk about bicycles in your area, your family using bicycles. So whatever the topic is, you don't have to talk about it like in an abstract way. You can talk about it in relation to your experience, stories about what's happening around you, that type of thing. That can often be an easier way to develop it. Okay, Stephen, let's get you in here. Hey, Stephen.
Hi, teacher Lauren.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you?
Good. So, Stephen, can you just remind me what speaking score you're aiming for?
Just 7, teacher Lauren.
And you've got that score before, right?
Yep, 7.5.
So you're well within your ability. Okay, so Stephen, I'm going to ask you questions about the same topic, jobs and working. So money is often the main reason why people work. What is another possible reason?
Well, I think it depends on the condition. Some people need experience on their jobs, so they might enhance their careers further. And some people need to work with people without any money for it. So I think it depends on the condition and type of people. So when they prefer to work with other people and they like having cooperation with other people, they will continue their working without need to earn money.
Why do some people continue working after they've reached retirement age?
I think it's mostly because of their hobbies. Like I said, they also like working with other people, so they they're boring. They may bored when they are alone after their retirement, so they continue their work. Maybe they continue their hobbies and pursue further career in that hobby, and they can use their knowledge and uh, experience and apply these knowledge in their work.
Um, many people cannot get a job because they are bad at doing interviews. How can we fix this problem?
Well, an easy way is do lots of interviews before mock test like interviews before actual interview, so that we can be used to and can become used to that kind of situation. Like interviewing is an awkward situation, as in this conversation, and it's not easy for most people. So we need to be used to this kind of situation.
Thank you. Okay, Stephen. So you're not speaking as naturally as you
Like a
you know,
right.
yeah. So normally you're maybe more relaxed, but so for those of you who don't know Stephen's on my course, so I interact with Stephen quite a lot. So normally you're a lot more relaxed and just a lot more natural sounding, whereas today you sound like a little bit like stiff, a little bit like kind of maybe uncomfortable. Another thing I'm wondering is, and this happens to a lot of students, is I'm reading the questions, so I don't sound normal either. When I'm reading the questions, it's normally I would say, why do some people continue working after they've reached retirement age? So that's kind of what I would sound like normally, as opposed to, why do some people continue working after they've reached retirement age? So very often examiners will read the questions in that kind of exaggerated intonation. So do you think that was affecting you? Are you trying to copy that unnatural intonation while you're speaking? It sounded like that a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit. Clear, easy to understand, like logical, coherent, well developed. The things that kind of pop up most here, mistakes with auxiliary verbs. So
Yeah.
auxiliary verbs being like, I am going, am, the am would be the auxiliary verb. So mistakes with those, so like wrong auxiliary verbs. And then with pronunciation, like the thing I said with intonation, but that's not normally how you speak. But also when a word ends with an L or an L or an or sound. So like people ends with an L, before ends with an you're pronouncing both of those with like a W sound. So you're making a w, w. So you're saying people rather than people. So that those two sounds. Overall, you're doing good. That would definitely be a 7. Obviously, you would need to sustain that across the full 15 minutes, but no, that's definitely a good standard there.
Thank you, teacher Lauren.
You're very welcome. Do you have any questions or anything you want to talk about there, Stephen?
No, I can ask you in the chat or maybe in the email. It's okay.
Perfect.
Thanks for having me.
Take care of yourself. Thanks, Stephen.
Okay.
Okay, so I have another few questions, and Jihad, we'll get you in here after that. Mohammed, after a long time watching your live, good to see you. Yeah, you too, Mohammed. Good to see you here. Mohammedul, good to see you here. Yeah, Stephen's strong. Stephen's a good student for sure. Hello, Mr. Ryan. I'm currently watching an ad so that I can help you even the slightest. You're very welcome, bro. Good to see you here again. Hi, Domenico. I'm doing good. Thank you. I'd have to say, last month, my exam preparation leading to the test, which is shaping up to be quite challenging. You've been working on it for a long time. It's hard to stay motivated for so long, but the closer you get to the exam date, the more essential it gets. So that will motivate you too. Okay, so Jihad, let's get you in here. Hi there. Your microphone's on mute there at the moment.
Hi, hello, how are you?
Good. Nice to meet you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. And
Good.
what about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Thanks. We've met before, haven't we?
Yes, we met before, and I took my test a few days back, and I got 5.5 in speaking, overall 6. So I need to increase it to 7.
5.5 up to 7. So the thing that's going to take you the most time is going to be the vocabulary. All right.
Vocabulary. Okay.
So you're going to have to prioritize vocabulary because, you know, with grammar, once you start understanding the rules and you start applying them, you know, you can get better in big chunks when it comes to grammar. Except for prepositions. Prepositions you need to learn in the same way as you learn vocab, so that takes time. So with vocab, you can only learn one word at a time, whereas with grammar, you're learning one group of one area at a time. So you know, you're doing it in big chunks, whereas with vocab, everything is one tiny little piece at a time. That's why vocab takes longer.
So
same
what
with
is
pronunciation.
what is the right way to learn vocabularies?
What I'll do is I'll share a link with you in the video comments. I mean, it's the biggest part is reviewing as often as possible, but there are a few mistakes that people make, like you know, a lot of students, they don't learn collocations, so then when they need to use a preposition, they don't know what preposition to use because they just learned the individual word instead of learning the full phrase with the preposition and, you know, the full collocation. So that's something that happens quite a lot, where students learn individual words rather than full words. Another problem then is, like, students learn every new word that they say, every new word that they see, instead of being more selective and learning the vocab that will be most useful. So, like, trying to find words that you don't know but already recognize, those are good words to learn. So just give me one moment there now.
Thank you for your advice.
No problem at all. So I just shared a link in the video description there. So you'll see that link there, vocabulary improvement plan. So I've just kind of pointed out a few minor parts of that. There's a full plan there that you can follow in a bit more detail than I've just given you now. So take a look at that later, and that'll help you. But yeah, going from 5.5 to 7, definitely that's a big jump. Like, that's a lot, and vocab is definitely the slowest area. So prioritize that. So if you're prioritizing vocab, by the time you improve your fluency, your grammar, and your pronunciation, you know that you're giving yourself enough time that you're not waiting then to do vocab at the end, which would obviously increase the time significantly. Okay, so let me ask you a question. So these are part 3 questions. We're still talking about jobs and working. Okay, some companies have decided to have 4-day working weeks. Why do you think they have chosen to do this? I can't hear you there. Your microphone's gone on mute again or disconnected. No, your microphone's not working. Not working at the moment. No problem. What I'll do is I'll take you off the stage, and I'll bring you back on in a minute. I'll just give you a minute to try and fix it, and I'll bring you back on then in a second. I have Supreet waiting here as well. Supreet, let's get you on. Hello there. How are you? I can't hear you either. Perhaps it's a problem on my end, is it? Can't hear you. I can lip read. I know what you said by reading your lips, but I can't hear you. Let me just have a quick check. I'm just going to have a quick check here, and I'll play a video on my end to see if my speakers are broken. No, my audio is working for sure. It just seems to be a coincidence. So, Supreet, I'll just take you off the stage for a moment as well, and I'll just read out some of the comments here. So I'll get you back on in a moment, okay? Abu, I was a little bit late today. No problem at all. No problem. Good to have you here. Stephen, you're very welcome. My pleasure. My IELTS coach, who is from LA, has requested that I reduce distractions to a minimum to focus on ensuring that I'm fully ready for the test with a good strategy for each part of the exam. Makes sense. Can't flaw that. He emphasized that my English has reached its peak and it would be such a shame if I were to miss out on a band score of at least 8. Fingers crossed. Hopefully that goes well for you. Jamshid, I have a former friend who did shadowing technique and ended up getting 8.5 in speaking. Does this method work for everyone? Let's cite myself as an example. I did shadowing. I did shadowing to go 7 to 8. I don't know what shadowing is, to be honest. Can you tell me more about that, Jamshid? Hey, Marvik, good to see you here. I'm not sure what shadowing is, Jamshid. I haven't heard of that before. Okay, Jihad, let's get you on here again. How is your sound? No, it's not working on this end here. One moment there now. No, everything looks okay on my end. I'm not sure why yours isn't working. I'll give you a minute. Let me see with Supreet as well. Like it's strange that both of yours stopped working. That would make it seem like it should be my fault, but I'm not sure. Supreet, let's get you back on there. Let's see. How about your sound? No, can't hear anything. I mean, the fact that both of you don't have the sound working makes it seem like it's my fault. Stephen, can I get you back in for a second? Just to check if your sound is working. Hi, Stephen.
Hello, Teacher Larry.
I can hear you.
Me?
Okay,
Well,
so it's definitely not my
great.
fault.
Sounds great.
Thanks very much. Cheers to you. Okay, so I'll just go through whatever questions I have here. Sagor, yeah, absolutely, you can. We've plenty of time left. So just click on the link. It's up there at the start. You'll find it up at the beginning of the lesson in the comments. There's the link to join. Jihad and Supreet, perhaps if you guys just leave and come back in again, maybe that might fix it. So if you want to just leave the stream and come back in, perhaps that'll be enough to get it working. Sir, my IELTS test is on May 25th. So that's a month away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 weeks or so. How can I start preparing for cue cards? But the main thing with cue cards, like the main thing that students find difficult is to stay talking for 2 minutes. So just do some practice, but definitely don't memorize answers. I've seen a lot of students try to memorize answers and then end up getting a low score because the examiner knows exactly what you're doing. So to prepare for it, just practice and practice with new ones. Don't memorize answers, just practice what you will really do in the test. So what happens in the test? You see the cue card, you've 1 minute to get ready and you have to speak for 2 minutes. So do that. Don't like make it easier for yourself. Don't give yourself 10 minutes to prepare. You know, putting yourself in that situation and getting good at doing what you really need to do by practicing it is much better than, you know, giving yourself 10 minutes, writing down an answer, memorizing it and seeing if you can do it that way. That's not what you're doing in the real test. So just practice doing what you should really be doing. Jamshid, where can I find reliable and written by examiner task 1 and task 2 sample essays? I have them on my website. Hang on now, and I'll find a link for you there. Do you know what I'll do? I'll just show you a link. I'll just paste a link for my website and I'll tell you where to find them. So it just depends where you are, but there's There are the links to my website. And on my website, you'll see the banner across the top. There's one button for writing task 2. Just click on that. You'll see the essays in there. One for task 1, click on that. You'll see the sample essays in there. So just click on the type of essay you're looking for, and then you'll see the link. You'll see the page there. How to get a band 8 in writing. So the biggest challenge is going to be having the grammar and the vocabulary that's good enough to get that score. Like, that's the thing that will take the most time. So then you have task achievement, coherence and cohesion, vocab, grammar. So when students join my course, the main focus that I have is helping them with task achievement and coherence and cohesion. That's basically how to do the test. But then, of course, there will be students who, their vocab isn't good enough. So I'll identify what scores they have. I'll tell them if they do or don't need to improve vocab. If they have a grammar problem, I'll point out what the grammar problem is and show them how to improve. But that's basically the stuff that takes the longest time, is the vocab and the grammar. If you come to me and you're already band 8 in vocab and band 8 in grammar, it won't take us long to get you a band 8 in writing. But if you come to me and you need to improve your vocab and grammar, that's basically, it takes longer, because that stuff is slower to improve. Sir, can you please tell me what's the best structure or technique to prepare for cue cards? So yeah, we were talking about that already, but it depends on your level. For some people, they prefer, you have a topic and then you have the prompts underneath. Some people like to follow the prompts. Other students prefer or are more capable of ignoring the prompts and just telling a story about the topic. So it depends on your own particular situation. Is it good to always answer the questions in context to real life instead of imaginary scenarios? Well, what's going to be easier for you would be the real thing. Like, if you find it very difficult to imagine scenarios and speak in English at the same time, well, that probably wouldn't be the best choice. But, if you're able to do both at the same time, then there's absolutely no reason not to do it. Typically, though, with my students, I advise them just to tell stories from their real life, because then, I don't know how the brain works. Like, I'm not a neuroscientist, but if you're just trying to think of the language and repeating memories that, like, describing a memory that you have, that's obviously a lot less work than creating a story and explaining it in English. So I would generally recommend not doing it. But it's not that it's wrong, or it's not that it's the wrong thing to do, or you shouldn't do it because of the band descriptors and you'll be marked down. It's not that the IELTS band descriptors, the IELTS examiner will care if you invent a story. My concern is, will it be more challenging for you to do that? So that would be the only consideration, really. Jihad, let's get you in here. We'll see if you got that microphone working. Hello?
Hello. Hi.
We got it. We have it. I can hear you again. Okay, so let's jump into that question. So the same question. Some companies have decided to have 4-day working weeks. Why have they chosen to do this?
I think some companies decided because of they are thinking about employers' mental health. That's because when an employee work for 7 days or 6 days per week, it enhances mental stress level and physical stress level, and which decrease her or their productivity. So I think to think about employees' stress and comfortness, they decided to have 3 days off per week.
In many businesses, there are people who work very hard and people who work very little. Why do companies employ the two different groups of people?
Some people, company basically run on an idea, or they follow a structure where they have different groups of people. There are some people who are working hard. Basically, they work on the labor sector, such as in the factory, the worker need to work 8 hours per day to manufacture products. But in the office sector, there are some people who just think about ideas. They just create ideas, and they try to establish their ideas for the company. So for that reason, they don't need to work hard. So I think this is because this is why the company has two sort of groups, where some people work hard, some people just work on generating ideas.
Thank you. Okay, so a few things that I would notice here. One is you use a lot of like what students think is like good high level vocab, right?
Yes.
So what that makes me, the impression I get is that, you know, there are IELTS websites that will say, you know, here are IELTS vocab, here are the best words to use in the IELTS test. Use these words in the IELTS test and you'll get a high score. So I feel like you've fallen into that trap where you're trying to learn special words for the IELTS test instead of learning
Yes.
normal words that you would learn if you were not doing the IELTS test. So don't shape your vocabulary improvement around the IELTS test. Just learn it like it's just a language that you're learning for communication, not
Yes.
vocab you're learning for a test. Because the people who get the highest score are the people who can use vocab naturally. So what's happening
Okay.
to you is you're learning a lot of like buzzwords that, you know, people say these are good words for the IELTS test, but there are no good words for the IELTS test. It's a test of the whole English language, you know. So, you know, like if when you're in high school and you have an English test, the teacher gave you 100 words to learn, and they're checking, did you learn those words? Can you remember the meaning of those words? But
Okay.
the IELTS test isn't a set of words. It's every word in the whole language. Like, are you using the language naturally? So try to move away from learning what are considered like special words for the IELTS test and focus more on normal, everyday language that people use when speaking in English. That's one thing. The other thing then is your pronunciation. This is something that I said to Mohammed earlier on with chunking, that you're not pausing at the appropriate points. So chunking is typically like if you were looking at a text where you would have a comma or where you would have a full stop, that's typically the same places that you would have a little pause while you're speaking. So a little pause at those places just to show the listener that like, okay, that piece of information is finished. Now I'm moving on to the next piece. So it just signals to the listeners like, okay, that bit's done. You can move on to the next bit. So it helps the listener to follow. And the other thing is you mispronounce a lot of vowel sounds. So the vowel sounds in words you'll often mispronounce. So I only wrote down one, but for example, like company is company, but you're saying company like that. So that type of mistake where you're mispronouncing the vowel sounds in words, that would be another area for you to work on.
Thank you so much for your advice. And
you're very welcome. And
have
nice
a great
to see you again. You too. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay. I used to practice Jihad brother during my preparation time. He's a hardworking guy. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Sigur. What would be more suitable? Be fluent when answering or more perfect in grammar while answering? I go for when you're in the test, the goal should be fluency and just clear communication. So if you have a grammar problem and you know about it, try to fix that before your test. But when you're actually in the test answering the questions, the focus should be on fluency and clarity. You know, it's too late to start fixing your problems while you're in the test. That has to happen beforehand. Domenico, sir, my vocabulary and grammar have been evaluated within the range of band 8 to 9. Very nice. But I've been recommended to focus on enhancing my fluency slightly. Yeah, so that would make sense. It sounds like your teacher is giving you good advice. Picking up situations or scenarios is a different task, and you will find it more difficult to talk about made-up stories as you have to work multiple tasks. Yeah, I think that's right. I'd agree with that, XIX. Jamshid, is it critical to practice from app as far as speaking is concerned, or is it okay to do shadowing? Again, Jamshid, I'm not sure what shadowing is. Hey, no problem. You're very welcome. Total trends. I got 7.8, in the first IELTS general test. The second time I got 7, 8.5, 7.5. So all up except listening. However, I need to get 7, 8 in listening. I don't know what to do. Just need to do the test again, I guess. Do some practice on listening. Do some more practice listening tests. Make sure you're consistently getting 8 before you go back. But all the other areas, you look like you're ready. It happens sometimes, you got a particularly challenging listening test, so it didn't go your way. Ken Clark, how you doing? There's a link in the comments. You can find the link there. And Supreet, let's get you in. How are we now? Microphone not working, I'm afraid. No. Sorry, Supreet. Okay. Okay, here we go. Shadowing, which means to get English video on YouTube and repeat that speech after speaker. That's shadowing. Oh yeah, so that would be good for a lot of areas of pronunciation. That would be good for your chunking, sentence stress, intonation. So yeah, various parts of connected speech, that would definitely be helpful. So it just depends what you're trying to improve. So it's not going to improve your fluency because you don't need to think about what to say. So the difficulty with fluency is you have to think of what to say it, and you don't have much time. So that's not going to help fluency. Vocab, I don't know, might help you review vocab if the vocab you're learning comes up. It wouldn't be the most effective way. Grammar, it might help solidify, might make you more familiar with the grammatical structures and the syntax and which word belongs in which part of the sentence. I think mainly for those areas of pronunciation, though, I think there would be faster ways to improve the other areas. So yeah, it's hard for me to say outside of those ones. And your question was, is it the best way? You had a friend who went from I can't find the comment now, but you just said a friend that went up a lot. They went like from a 6 to an 8 or something. You had a friend who went up to 8.5. It wouldn't be the only thing they would have had to do. I mean, they're probably really, really good at English already, have studied it for many, many years and have spoken it a lot. You're not going to get an 8.5 by that alone. That's not going to be the only reason. You have to sit down, you have to study the grammar, you have to study the vocab, you have to review the vocab. So I'm sure shadowing helped and that person enjoyed it. So they probably felt motivated to continue. But I wouldn't say it's the solution to everything. No, there would have to be more involved than that. Hi as well. Marlene, hello to you. Don't you suggest doing that method to your students? Yes, for areas of pronunciation, yes, but not for everything. Not for everything. Hi, Oleg Beck. Long time. Good to see you here. Okay, guys. So I have one more student here, Sumit. So we'll get Sumit in. We'll do a speaking test and we'll finish up there for today. Hi, Sumit.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm doing good. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk in front of you.
You're very welcome. Not a problem. Sumit, can you tell me what score are you aiming for in the speaking test?
I want, sir, at least seven band in my speaking test.
Okay. So I have another question for you here about jobs and working. Why do some people prefer to change jobs frequently instead of staying for a long time in the same job?
Okay. So my thinking, in this sector, that people are not much serious while they are working their job, and they are maybe lucrative about other opportunities, other jobs maybe facilitate more wages and opportunities. So people are trying to tend to their job, change their job regularly. I think for that reason they are not able to speak with any job, and they are just lack in their job sector and in their life.
And then on the other side of that, what is the advantage of staying for a long time in the same job?
Yeah, there is a big advantage that anyone can excel his career by staying in a settled job. So if the person stick with the same job for a long time, they can uh, uh, go so far in their career, and in the future they may be got promoted in higher position, and that will give them higher salary and other facilities.
Okay, thanks, Sumit. Okay, so for your fluency score, your answers would be a little bit short. Especially in part 3, you would try to develop your answers a bit longer. To be honest, in part 1 as well, recently I've had a lot of students try to give short part 1 answers because they think part 1 should be shorter than part 3. But you don't need to be shorter. The examiner will stop you anyway. Anyway, so for your answers today, a little bit short. So work on developing your answers more fully. The quality of your microphone isn't, it's not very clear. So there were some things I couldn't understand. But what I can tell you is that your sentence stress isn't accurate because you're stressing too many words in each sentence. Where are you from, Sumit?
I'm from Bangladesh, sir.
Bangladesh. So it'll be quite common for students from Bangladesh to stress too many words in each sentence. That's, it's a pretty standard mistake. And the other one, which I also had with Mohammed and Jihad today, is chunking, where you're not pausing. You just kind of run straight through. So when you're speaking, those pauses are very helpful for the listener because they get to go, okay, that piece of information is over. Now there's a new piece coming. So instead of the listener getting all the words and having to separate them into pieces of information by themselves, those pauses are you doing that for them. So it's basically when they're listening, they're like, okay, that's done. Okay, that's done. Okay, that's done. And it allows them to move on instead of trying to add the word to the previous piece of information and then figuring out, okay, that word doesn't belong here, it belongs here. They don't need to break it up themselves. So I often compare it to, like, imagine if I gave you an essay and I delete all the full stops, I delete all the commas. You would be able to figure it out, but you'd have to work a lot harder to read it, So it's kind of like that. Imagine removing all the full stops and commas from a text. That's essentially what you're doing when you don't pause at those appropriate times. So those are the main things: sentence stress, chunking, and try to develop your answers a bit longer. Okay. You're very welcome. Okay, nice to meet you, Sumit. Take care of yourself. Bye. Okay, so I have a few more comments. I'll go through these and then we'll finish up today. So, Kent, I think shadowing in tandem with actually thinking or processing the language as you repeat them would work better. Yeah, but you don't have to go through the same, you don't have to go through the same mode of putting the pieces together. So if you're trying to improve grammar and you're going, okay, I'm focusing on articles, so then you'd have to pause after every sentence, repeat it, think about the articles, try to explain to yourself why that would be. I just don't think that would be as effective as doing it with a text, like reading and looking at the language that way. I don't think it would be more effective than that. I personally would just, this shadowing that we're talking about here, I would leave it for those aspects of pronunciation that I mentioned. And I think that would be, going outside of that, there would be easier ways to improve the other parts of language. You're very welcome here, Marlene. We're just finishing up. But yeah, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you'll see the time of the next lesson. So you might get in on time. Next one. To improve my speaking, what will I do right now? So as well, it depends. Are you trying to improve your fluency, vocab, grammar, or pronunciation? You need to figure that out first. And then if it's fluency, you need to practice speaking more often. If it's vocab, you need to study vocab, grammar, study grammar, pronunciation, find out what mistakes you're making and start working on those. So, there isn't just one thing you can do to fix everything. You need to take each area separately. You're very welcome, XIX, and good to see you here again. Sir, whether it's answering part 1 questions or part 3 questions, I have a habit of extending my responses by adding endless details. I don't know how to control my long-winded nature. The examiner will stop you. When your answer is too long, the examiner will go, thank you, and they'll move on. You know, you don't need to worry about that. Lewis, no problem. You're very welcome. Okay, guys, so we'll leave it there for today. Good to see you all again and talk to you next time. Take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.